It's 11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Hey, and welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. And yeah, we're on time. So, had a very long chat over after Ghost Chat ended there in the off air, and thought we were running late, but I think we're right on time. Actually, we're actually early, right? So, by myself tonight, except Gary jumped in. So, thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, sorry for ruining your intro there.
Oh, I'd much rather have somebody in here. Otherwise, they probably would have ended moments after that intro. So,
thanks for the invite.
You bet. So, how's the weather up there? You guys done with the cold, or is it still happening?
Freezing drizzle. We got let off work early today, and we've got a 2-hour late start. So I kind of like it that way, but still have to go in tomorrow.
We had like a day or two of, I don't know what happened, eye of the storm, and it was really nice. And I was thinking, oh, wow, this is going to be great. And then it got back to being cold again down here, too.
Yep.
So I am been chatting. We were over there chatting with everybody. And did other people? Oh, and then Armentia jumped in, too. So it was a pretty fun chat off air over there. So I'm having a coughing fit because I've been chatting. I've been talking. So what's today? Tuesday? So I guess it's 2/8 Tuesday, and we just had Every Second Matters. So that's a bunch of stuff, or that stuff's recent on my mind. Were you in the long chat? You were in there.
I was in there for a few minutes. I think I got to stay about 15 minutes, and my daughter wanted me to run with her somewhere, so I had to take off.
Did you go to the Saturday chat after that? The night chat? I think it was.
Yeah, I was in the night chat.
Did that get into Every Second Matters at all?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It seems like it was. But...
I don't think I remember seeing Smeggy do anything. Sometimes Rupan will do something. I don't remember seeing him do one. I'm gonna go look over on Gunstreamer though. That's because of everybody. That would be where everybody would put it.
Trying to think. That was Saturday.
Yeah, which is actually forever ago on Gunstreamer now.
Obnoxious One did one late.
Are you seeing any difference? I'm just scrolling through Gunstreamer here looking for Every Second Matters videos. Did you have you seen any difference in your viewership or your view numbers or anything with Gunstreamer now that so many more people are familiar with it and using it?
It just seems to be. I still get higher viewership there than I do on YouTube, all told.
I just remember scrolling through looking for people I know's videos to watch or look at, and it just seems like there's way more views. Before it would be like in the single digits, and now they're at least in the doubles for pretty much everything.
Yeah, there's plenty of views out. People are watching this stuff. Amazing.
So we did have David's out there, that Groundhog's Day, Every Second Matters intro. And that was it, at least on Gunstreamer. So no one's required to or obliged to by any means, but people have in the past, so just was double checking to see if anybody posted anything like that. I know that when we were on Coffin Pit, I know when we were on live, I updated all the stuff from the main page of Gun Channels over onto Every Second Matters, but then, I mean, it's like Murphy's Law or whatever. Like, as soon as we stopped going live, it seems like I found like 4 or 5 other things that I could have updated on Every Second Matters.
Yeah, I did get over there for a little bit. I try to remember to log on to Every Second Matters every second, should I say.
Oh, Patriot saying that Snob had a chat on Saturday, and
That's right.
So Orange had one.
That's right.
So what's happening over here on this YouTube side? Got 9 thumbs. There's one criminal who's stolen, not giving us a thumb. Or does it count me? I don't thumb up my own video. Do you thumb up your own video when you're watching your own video?
I don't even know if it'll let you thumb up your own video.
Oh, you can. Like I can click.
I don't ever do that.
I figure there's no point, because then it's just a fake number. Because I'm sure the system doesn't acknowledge it as a number, and why would it? I don't know. It just seems like it shouldn't, at least. But and it's only one number, so it's not even gonna. But anyway, I don't bother. But anyway, so it might be me, because it's 1 down. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna count that as 100%. Thanks, appreciate that.
Sure.
Snob's wife is saying she would thumb up her own video. Otherwise, oh, I'm on top chat again. Stupid YouTube. So why don't we just do Gunstreamer's job for them and come up with the best live streaming function, since I can't think of any other 2A topics. I'm 2A'd out. What would you put on a gun streaming platform as far as lists of functions and features?
You mean specific?
Well, let's start from YouTube, since everybody's familiar with, we're using YouTube right now. So what would you change or add or remove from YouTube for Gunstreamer, so that they can start making a list?
As far as the streaming ability, or just period?
Platform wide, because the streaming's a part of it, but the other videos are part of it.
Yeah, with the streaming would also come live text chat too, because I think that's important. But I mean, you've got the ability to feature a video now, which you didn't have before. Trying to think what I would change if I was in charge.
I think that when you're watching a chat, you should at least have an option, or it could be permanent, but I think the chat should scroll on the screen.
Yeah. Be nice to be able to see it while you're in the Hangout too, so you didn't have to have 2 separate things open.
Yeah, exactly. It should be like in this interface that we're in, like, you know, in the chat here, and whoever else has links. There's a bunch of links out there. Nobody's joining tonight. But yeah, so that we don't have to have the actual browser open like today. She didn't know that you needed to have the browser open. So we're talking about all this. We didn't think about it because we're too damn used to doing this all the time. So, you know, we're talking about all these comments and stuff. And after the show, she's like, where's all these comments coming from? It's like, oh, crap. You got to open up a whole other window because the stupid YouTube's clunky. When obviously the chat is 100% of what we're talking about here. I mean, they give us this little toggle to do our internal chat. Why not give us the option of using that exact same amount of space to be the external chat? Maybe even let us participate in the external chat from being in here, right?
It'd be nice, because so many times people are in a Hangout and, well, if they're on a smaller computer or if they're on mobile or something, they can't even see what's going on out in the chat, and they can't answer questions.
Rob is saying change the default from top chat to live chat. Yeah, definitely. Or just have like a throttle that's defaulted to no throttle, and then allow it to turn on if you needed it or something.
Yeah, let the users decide if they want to filter stuff out.
Patriot saying get rid of timestamps, allowed to be turned off for chats and video links. Imagine, because it gets in your way. I definitely, you can toggle them now, Patriot, FYI. I don't know if I do it. I don't think it affects what you guys get. But if you are on your browser window, at least I'm on Chrome, at the top of live chat, there's the 3 little dots, which is the sub menu. and it gives me things like, well, I guess mine's a little different because this is my chat, but lets you see the participants. It lets you pop out the chat, and then I've got toggle timestamps there. Do you guys have that toggle timestamps and those three little dots? So,
yeah, I do. And I always leave them off.
So if you can get to that little dotsy thing, I don't know what to call that, and get down to that submenu. Does somebody know is there a keyboard command to toggle? I'm going to ask the internet if there's a keyboard command to toggle.
I'd have to Google.
Well, it didn't come up immediately. I might not have put the best search in there. Did find a search or a keyboard shortcuts for Hangouts.
I know you can turn your mic on and off with a keyboard command. Yeah, I'm not finding it either.
All right, so oh, I see what he's trying to do there. Clay is trying to pull the old CLT trick, so I'm not gonna do that one. That worked back in the olden days, though.
Oh yeah.
Make it so you can't add ads to your content if you don't want them when you get big numbers. Make it so they can't add ads to your content. Oh, like if you turn off ads or you can't have ads, that's just the platform needing to fund itself. I mean, I don't know how YouTube pays for it. I guess there's no way they're paying for it. I guess maybe they're paying for it, but I suspect they're not making a lot of money. It's got to cost a lot of money to have all this stupid video up there. But I don't know. It's a tough one. I personally would rather see an ad than have to pay for service, but I really don't like the content that's created due to ad revenue. It seems too plain vanilla or too extreme. It tries to be too weird just for the sake of being weird, and I think that's because so much stuff is plain vanilla. I think it'd be more fun to just have actual flavors, and we'll see how that works. Gun streamers obviously trying a new strategy there. John Brown is asking, what is pop-out chat? So when you click them three little dots, let me screen capture, or I'll share my screen here. When you click on these three little dots that are at the top right of your chat window, you get this drop-down window, and when you click pop out, it's going to pop the window out into its own pop-up window, so a small browser window. And there's people that'll then minimize their screen. I mean, minimize all my stuff, and then, you know, now they can have that puppy look at them while they're chatting over here. Or maybe they're fiddling with a video game. I don't know what other people do while they're watching chats. Hopefully they're over here doing their taxes or doing some kind of cool project or something. Anyway, that's what that is. And when you kill it, it'll just go back to this one. It'll just go back in over here where it's supposed to be.
What I do is I make the browser window take up about 2/3 of the screen, and then I take the chat window and go all the way vertical top to bottom, make like a second pane, so I can see like several lines of chat all at once, and it doesn't cover up.
Like this?
So I make it tall and narrow.
Like this?
Well, I make it narrower than that and tall.
I don't know if I can. I got this, what do you call it, running though, and it screws with my control panels in here, this vidIQ. But see, this one for me, they don't put a thing down here to pull your chat. It's stupid. So
See the way my screen is, G? That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the YouTube chat over there?
Yeah. I just
Wow.
make a separate pane out of it and stretch it from top to bottom so I can see quite a bit of chat there.
Yeah, they work pretty good. I don't like that pop-up one because it's a pop-up window. I don't like having pop-up windows around. They just act weird. I don't like them. Nothing like that on mobile. Well, not necessarily, but when you're on mobile, if you go up on a regular mobile phone, not an iPhone, if you go up to the top right and on your browser, tell it to view as a desktop and then go into gun channels or whatever site you're on and tell it to view as a desktop site instead of or as a full site instead of a mobile site, you'll get an emulation, a little tiny emulation, but then you can use your two fingers to zoom and kind of like using a magnifier on a regular screen. I would have joined. Oh, I see. Now this dude wants a link. You know how many links I got out there? And that's the one link I didn't send out there. So now I'll send a link.
He said hi to me, and I replied back and said hello, and that's the entire extent of the conversation. He didn't ask for anything.
Oh, now he's got a link. Let's go look over at Gunstreamer. I'm going to click on latest videos and see what's going on. What do you think of this? Making a title with all capitals and putting a space between each letter. Heavy metal, range
I
time.
have seen people do that. It's a attention getter, of course.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea, AWAG. It's completely impossible for the system to know what that is. It just thinks it's a bunch of letters. So
Yeah, it's not going to be searchable at all.
Yeah, it might have visual appeal, but exactly. You're not going to get much bang for your buck out of that. See, he'll get more views on this one. Let's see if we're right. Nope, he's got 3 views on that goofy one and only 1 view on this regular one. All right, well, we're going to mansplain him that anyway. Kind of food video. Connecticut representative submits to raise 50% tax on ammo, or to raise ammo tax 50%. Wait, hold on. To raise the tax 50% or raise it to 50%. It makes a big difference, right? Because if the tax,
I think to raise it to.
If the tax was 20 cents before, raising it 50 cents makes it 30 cents. But if they say raise it to 50%, then that's $10 on a $20 box of ammo. And there's
Yeah, that's the way I understood it.
That would
We
suck.
talked about that in Hit or Miss a little bit.
There's Patriot.
Well, good evening, gentlemen.
Did that work at all for you to find the thing to toggle timestamps?
I was in the middle of messaging Gary in our long conversation. I didn't hear that portion.
Oh, okay. So we were just saying when I saw your comment or whatever, I looked, and I think everybody can do it. When you are looking at your comments at the top right, there's 3 little dots that opens up a sub menu.
Okay.
And in that sub menu is where you get the participants and the pop out, and then there's a toggle timestamps there. So I don't know if your reader can get to that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, it's just I know I mention it because they changed that recently on the live chats where they throw the seconds, in your timestamp.
Yeah.
Well, every time my reader goes through, it goes left to right, and so it reads a timestamp, then it reads the person. And it's just a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
And
so do you get the thing where it says top and live chat, like top chat?
Yes.
Live chat? Yeah, it should be just to the right of that. The next tab over from that. Because it must be there, because they're gonna be able to tab you to do all this shit. I couldn't find the keyboard command for it though. Yeah, so if anybody can find a keyboard command, and what we're talking about is, am I still screen sharing? Yeah, what I'm talking about is this toggle timestamps gizmo. If you can figure out how to keyboard command that toggle on and off, then something cool will happen.
Yeah, that's not a problem. You were asking about, Gunstreamer and any of those things, because I know when I go through a list over there, it always goes through, the time and the duration or whatever of each video prior to saying anything about it. And it's the same kind of thing where it's it's just there's a lot of information, which is great, but sometimes when you're trying to search for something or going through like the top list or whatever, that's all prior to reading it.
Right.
And
I just was looking over at the gun channel side because I've been ignoring it and paying attention to the stupid YouTube side. So, Pants was saying something about this 747. So does anybody know what's significant about this 747? The 747 painted Air Force gray, Air Force written down the side of it, and it's got a little doohickey antenna looking thing on the roof. I'm pretty sure. Huh? No, not that big one. Not that big, just a little tiny antenna.
Oh, okay.
And then it's got probably SAC stickers on the side of it, and then it's got this weird nose looking thing. It's episode 747, so that was the coolest 747 picture I could find. Oh, I'm screen sharing. Does anybody know what the significance of that 747 is? There's also an Air Force One, and this is not it. But I think Trump's Air Force One is a 747 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty big plane, I guess. If it's Air Force One, that's got to be able to carry around all the weird bulletproof shit. Don't they put bulletproof limos into Air Force One, or do they get carried around on separate planes next to it?
I think that's separate.
I would imagine it would be separate.
Yeah, they have a whole, convoy of planes, I think.
Well,
Is that the NORAD one?
NORAD? Meaning, for like Strategic Air Command, like dropping nukes?
Yeah, the Doomsday one or whatever.
Not that one, no. I don't know what those look like. I don't know if they look different. I think they might be what Patriot's talking about, where they got the big disc.
Big frisbee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got the big frisbee on top.
Right.
But those things, they sit on top of a area of operation, and that's just guiding airplanes and then dealing with all the ground traffic and all the little bursts and shit I can't even imagine. So, and then doing GPSs and shit, probably like enhancing GPS to where it's like down to the inch and shit, probably. But I don't know what the big ones that manage nuclear wars would look like. Do you think those are still up in the air all the time? Vanessa Kitty would know that. Is she out there?
I haven't seen her.
I bet you they don't have an airplane in the air all the time waiting for nuclear war anymore.
No, I don't believe so. I mean, I watched a show just this past weekend, and they were talking about them, the B-52s and all that stuff. But I'm sure that they still don't do that.
I'm gonna have to turn on my timestamps here so that I can see if who won this one. But it looks like the only person to even answer was Enrique here in Tucson, and I want to know if this thing is in Tucson, because they said something in some article I seen about it that it's in the mothballed or something. Made me think like, maybe we got it. They don't talk about it on the tour, and it's not in the museum that I know of. We have a pretty cool museum here. But yeah, he's right. This is the test bed for the missiles laser. So this is the last month or this month, I forget, but pretty soon, somewhere around this time of year, we come up on the anniversary of us putting a massive laser in the front of this 747, flying it around and knocking out a missile as it was leaving its silo or whatever. Or I guess it can shoot it in midair too, but it's, I guess, more effective to shoot it as it's coming out of its silo. But how badass is that? It's got two badass lasers that help it guide, and then one badass laser, probably the most wicked badass laser ever shoved on an airplane, that drives around looking for missiles to shoot as they pop out of the ground. Super ineffective because you have to have a giant airplane with a laser on it flying around above your enemies, and they don't like that, so it doesn't really work, but it was cool. It's sort of like a 9mm, it's there, it's interesting, just not effective, it's not worth anything. We should get that for the plane trip. That's a good idea. Rob was saying we should get that one for the gun channels plane. We could light cigarettes with it and shit. People would be like, hey, you got a light? Yeah, hold on. Go stand over way over there. Put on this, stand behind this, what you need, like probably 3-inch lead shield. Stick your cigarette out behind that.
Yeah, I hate to think what would happen if you'd miss. Be a bad thing.
Can it stop surface to air missiles? No. I think it was just for knocking down ballistic missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, probably as they were slowly coming out of their thing. Because you got to be able to shoot a missile that's moving. And I think it just heated up enough of it to melt a hole in it or some shit. Yeah, it's just saying they have a 777 now. I don't keep up on them, but I think I've heard of a 777, so I don't know if it's... Oh, you mean you think Air Force One is a 777?
I think that's what he's saying.
That could be. So I don't know. Vanessa Kitty would know all about where that thing might be, potentially. Anyway, yeah, big fan of lasers. And don't you feel better knowing that we at least had a giant 747 with a giant laser in it for a minute? Like, at least somebody spent hard-earned everybody's money on something awesome like that instead of stupid shit all the time.
I do.
I think that's freaking awesome. All right, well, so it's 2 day, I guess. It's 24 minutes into the show.
Yeah, I had a kind of an odd question today. Somebody had asked. It kind of deals with Second Amendment. Oh, did my thing die again?
No, we're waiting. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I had to change my headphones, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't dead again. No, it was dealing with. Everyone knows, obviously, I'm a blind guy, and there's a group of individuals that kind of talk whatever, and all of us are visually impaired or blind, and normally with the conversations that we have at the gun store or online and chats, that kind of thing, normally we get, I guess, thick skin, because 90% of the people out there really detest and oh, do this, do that, you can't do this, that kind of thing. And one of the issues was that, at nighttime, I've probably brought it up before, but like at nighttime where, you're in a situation where you have to fire upon somebody in self-defense. As a sighted individual, you shoot and, you stop the situation, but, you don't know what's on the other side of that wall. If it's a neighbor out there, or if you're in an apartment, or you're in a restaurant, and all that kind of stuff. And people are like, oh, that's no problem. That's no problem. And just weighing the difference between something that you physically can't see what's on the other side. Every bullet's got your name, and you're required to know where it goes, and you're responsible. The difference between that and one of us that, when we're talking about it, obviously together, we don't, sometimes we carry that, I don't know if it's not really a chip on our shoulder, but that jump to explaining how we go about things that's a little different. And it was just came up because some of us were kind of getting a little edgy talking to each other. And it was, with that situation, and I didn't know if anyone else, where you're talking online, the anonymity, whatever, you know what I'm talking about, not the little bug underwater, but if that changes how you talk in person. I mean, obviously things are different if you're in person, if you know somebody or whatever, but I was just wondering if you guys feel that same way, where, there's certain situations where you talk and it seems like you're a little bit maybe more defensive, or if that doesn't happen with, normal people.
That's maybe better for Gary, because the only people I interact with people I feel like it, so
Yeah.
to my Patreons. I haven't had to have a 9 to 5 in a bit, so I don't have to suck up to anybody, to try to get funding or whatever. So I don't have to. And if it was going to be somebody in the gun industry more than likely, because what I'm doing. But most of the time, I'm interacting with people that are either from part of gun websites or gun channels or at a gun shop or at a gun show or something like that.
No, at work, most of my interactions, because I'm customer service, so I'm on the phone half the day, helping out people who are having trouble with their computer for whatever reason, trying to figure them out. So what specifically are you asking again, Patriot?
So like in your off time, if you're, not on one of these great chats, we search out stuff, you might go and put a comment on an article at, whatever site, Gun Talk or, one of the sites that have an article, and you comment on there. Obviously that whole issue with, you're under a screen name and nobody knows. So, you can say whatever you want. In my situation, being a blind guy, if I just talk like a normal person, I don't say anything and nobody knows about it, it's not a big deal. But, the first situation where it jumps out that, I'm legally blind, I can't see anything, the script kind of changes, and it's like, just the extreme, even though, most situations or a lot of situations happen where even a sighted individual goes about different things. The thing that spurred it up was, I guess, that Australian lady in Minnesota that went outside, and the cops came at night and thought they saw something, so they shot her, whatever it was. She was like in a married or some kind of thing, but she was from Australia and it was like in Minnesota or something. But the whole idea where, somebody that's, I guess, sighted, has different issues, but I guess I don't know where I'm rambling with this one. It was basically just to see if, when you're talking, in a group versus obviously your friends or whatever, if you guys run across that where,
like if you're holding your punches, because
because it's going to open up a bigger door and people are going to, I don't know, have more questions than what you really want to have to deal with answering.
I don't know. I mean, when I post questions like in other forums or on other people's chats and I know they don't know me, I just pretty much ask what I want to ask. Now, if I want to give them a little bit of my background, I'll give them a real quick 1 or 2 sentences, where I'm coming from. Of course, it's impossible for them to know me well based on that, but I'm just pretty straightforward. What I have, I always try to be respectful. I don't like people trolling on my comments, and I don't troll on other people's comments.
Yeah. It just seemed like, any of the people that, with me going out to different sites, I've commented, for, years or whatever on different, gun sites and whatever. And everything's good until, obviously they find out that I'm a blind guy. Then, there's a good majority of people that don't understand. And obviously I haven't explained it, they're not going to understand it. And so a lot of that defensiveness and thick skin that you get, while dealing with, the untold masses, that kind of carries over when I go and I talk to a small group that, we're pretty much in the same boat. But it seems like sometimes people get in that group, we get kind of short, with each other. So I don't know. That's probably not even the original question I started to ask. So. It
sounded to me like you were saying if somebody's having a two-way conversation, like, do you jump in with the same fever or whatever, like ambition that we do online, because it's whatever in real life and you don't have that anonymity or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I know for the most part. I mean, if I'm talking to a regular gun guy, like I would talk to a normal gun guy online or girl, gal, whatever. that that obviously that it carries over, but if it's in a different situation where I don't see, I can't really come up with the same kind of situation for you guys because I don't know of a situation where you would go that it seems like you're more having to be defensive a lot more. So I don't know if you guys even have those kind of situations. Like me talking about guns online, if I'm at just a regular, Michigan site or, Wisconsin, wherever, one of their forums or something, I catch a lot more grief due to, I get, ignorance or just not knowing, that this side of it exists. And so I catch more of a, myself being more defensive, and then it kind of comes across where I'm short with more people that I don't really need to be. So I don't know if you guys even have that kind of situation. So
yeah, I put most of my effort into gun stuff. So when I go online, it's 99% gun stuff. I think maybe vans, maybe my food stuff might be something where I intentionally kind of don't hide that I'm a gun guy or whatever, so that those communities or whatever, that they know that there's a diverse group of people that are interested in their interests too. But nobody's ever confronted me on those. I mean, I don't know if it's just the nature, or I don't really do anything that's too in your face or anything, or to like start a conversation. But yeah, I don't put myself into. I don't have a hobby or an interest, I guess, that's so far from guns that I'd find myself confronted at least.
Okay, it was just something I observed today, and it kind of felt odd that I catch myself being more defensive, and especially it ends up carrying over to people that you don't really need to be defensive with, I guess.
No, I hear you. Maybe it's something that, or is it something that can be accomplished, or made more comfortable with practice or with experience? Because unless it's something that you do every day, just like anything, and more, I guess, if it's something that only happens once a year, it's tough to get experience with it. But I guess, and it doesn't happen every day, otherwise you'd have experience with it already, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine for you, Patriot, if you go into a chat where people don't know you, they're going to talk to you and respond just as if you're any other person. But should it come out that you're a non-sighted individual, then all of a sudden you're going to be a representative of every non-sighted individual out there. And that's going to become the focus of the conversation from that point on. And people will stop just chit-chatting with you about what's your favorite gun and stuff, even though that's really not a valid thing to do. That's invariably what will happen, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my story with, playing on gun channels for almost a year before I I let my hair down, which I don't really have hair, but
I mean, it's great to have that unique thing, but on the other hand, I'm sure you love to just chit chat about, do you like Glocks? Do you like 1911s? Do you like revolvers just like everybody else? And throw the rest of that stuff aside for a while.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. So yeah, so that's an upcoming project. I'm going to do some interview stuff with several other, people in the community.
I would imagine, on the other hand, and you've been non-sighted for quite a while, right?
10 years, going on 11.
So where other people might interview somebody face to face and have to rely on physical reactions and appearances to determine, moods and reactions and stuff, you've probably gotten really good at just being able to tell how people are feeling based on the tone of their voice and stuff like that. So doing a podcast or something like that where there's no video puts you on equal terms, if not maybe even a little bit better terms than everybody else.
I've been known to find people that don't like me. I can tell, that's one of those.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. Because you don't take the time to focus on, looking at their face or looking at what they're doing with their hands. You're listening 100% of the time.
In real person, one-on-one, I've practiced. That was one of the main things I practiced, off topic, but practice keeping eye contact. And so if you're sitting in front of me or talking to me, I'm going to give you eye contact, which is weird for some people because, like, some people, they don't think I'm blind because I give them eye contact, but that's kind of...
They're probably in front of you waving their hands back and forth to see if you'll follow their hands.
Yeah. I can usually tell that too. So
I imagine you could after a while.
Or they start breathing funny when they start moving too quick.
Well, I saw a documentary one time, and it probably helps when it's raining out because then you can see the the water droplets.
Yeah.
Or hear the water droplets on them again.
Yeah, Ben Affleck, he doesn't have nothing on me.
Well, let's go with palate cleanser. And was anybody in hit or miss today?
Was there anybody? Yeah, we had a panel of about 6 people, I believe. And you're going to ask me who they were. I don't.
No, I was asking if one of y'all was in there. I saw that it was going live and I got the link, but
yeah, I went into it.
What was the chat about? You guys have anything good in there?
Well, we did talk about that, what you brought up about that 50% ammo tax. I know that was one of the things that were brought up. Trying to remember what all we went about an hour. Of course, the first few minutes, pretty much everybody was still in Ghost Chat, so there wasn't a whole lot of people watching. And then when Ghost Chat let up, then it started filling up pretty quick as far as the audience. And I had it open over here on my iPad with it muted so I could tell when it ended. But it was a good chat. No, I don't specifically remember everything that was discussed, unfortunately.
He seems to keep it pretty close to an hour because if I don't get in there, it's over.
Yeah, he did.
Bash is asking Patriot, do you practice click sounds for that echolocation thing?
No, I know sometimes that's a joke, but what my O&M teacher, instructor, whatever, she was spoke of. There's a couple of professors that do a lot more than most. I use my cane, and it's the same thing. That's why I tap my cane, and I use a cane that has a metal tip, and so I get that same kind of feedback, off of things using my cane. There's different types of canes. You have plastic. You have ones that have like a marshmallow ball that rolls, but I use one that's basically like a school chair. The little pad that's on the bottom. That's basically the style pad that I use on my cane. And when you tap that, it's metal, so it does give a kind of an echo.
Oh, like a big tack at the end.
Yeah. It's got a rubber grommet kind of thing, and it pushes on to the end of it. And so as you tap it does have a little motion, but since it's got like a rubber grommet, it does do a vibration, and it ticks, when you bang it on different things.
So what's the deal? Red is blind, and red and white is blind with deaf?
No, actually, the white cane is for blind, and if you're from America and you don't want to get run over, they put the red stripe on. Really, I don't. Over in Europe, they're just white, I believe. Now, I could be wrong. My canes that I like, the ones I special order, collapsible canes that fold up, because obviously walk around with a long stick when you're sitting down. You got to lay it on the floor. It's horrible. So I get the collapsible ones. Let's get the elastic on the inside. And when I order them, I get them all white. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought I'd seen somewhere that the red and white meant deaf.
It could be. It could be. I know a lot of people put the red reflective towards the tip, just because when out, especially in Michigan, walking in the snow, if you're driving and you're not paying attention, you won't see a white cane, but you will see a white reflective thing bouncing around.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
You know, I mean, in the city or, you know, down south or whatever, where it doesn't snow or whatever, it probably isn't an issue. But you'd be surprised on how many people really don't pay attention when they're, you know, driving or whatever. So that's always good. And then in the snow, it stinks anyways because you got to deal with not straight edges, you know, the drifts and all that stuff.
So Remington cane guns,
Nice.
if they weren't $1 billion because they're super old, would you get a cane gun?
It would be nice. I'd like to have anything like that. I actually had a discussion about. There's a guy that makes canes for, you know, just regular canes for, you know, disabled people or whatever. It's out of Florida, Patriot canes. They're aluminum. And I talked to them because they do custom canes. They do custom, I don't know if they're graphics or like laminates over top of them, but they're a self-defense cane as well because they're weighted a little bit. From what I read, and I actually spoke with the guy because I was like, well, hey, you know, you make these in shop. All of his workers are veterans and stuff, so it was kind of cool. And I asked him, I said, well, you know, have you ever made, you know, a blind cane, which is, you know, obviously a longer cane? And he didn't say he'd make them, but yeah, they're pretty cool. But I had talked about the handle being weighted so that I could have, you know, like a stun gun or, you know, something that was encased. You know, because the foldable canes, you can't really beat anybody with them because, you know, either they're carbon fiber, fiberglass, or aluminum, and the grommets don't hold up. But you can take the handle part because it's the same type handle that goes on golf clubs for the most part. You know, that rubber, and they might have a flat or, you know, I mean, some of them are leather. If you know, it's just like anything you can order, and you know, they've got custom companies that make all different kind of things. But you know, the weighted grip portion would be great because of obviously that's just like a baton or something because they're, I don't know, 10 inches, 12 inches sections. And when you fold it up, you know, it's bundled up. So. That'd be a nice defensive thing. I can't have, you know, a regular stun gun, which is just the two probes, or not the probes, but the two studs that stick out that have to come in contact in Michigan. You can have tasers that shoot the little wires and stuff, you know, and confetti. Because I guess they think that the stun guns that you have to physically come in contact with would be used to mug people or something, and they can't tell if you shock somebody because they don't leave a trail.
So it's the marker that makes the taser okay, that it leaves evidence.
Yes, it spits out confetti that's got your serial number on it or whatever, and so they can track it. So that's the difference between, you know, the states that you can use just a stun gun that looks like a, you know, your phone case or, you know, those small little handheld ones. You know, that we can have tasers, but they only have, you know, one shot or two shots or whatever. I mean, they do have tasers that shoot the wires and also have the studs, just in case one wire is the only thing that connects. You can run up and jab the end of it into the person, and they'll, you know, make continuity or whatever.
That's how all tasers are, yeah.
Yeah. Well, normally, you know, you have two wires that shoot out, and if one wire hooks, it does it, you know, and the other one misses or whatever, it won't shock you.
Right.
So you have to have both.
But you can always pull out the cartridge, and it's like you're talking about. You got the two exposed metal things, and it's the same tech. It's the same tech, so it's more than a stun gun. It's still doing the same like muscle glitch, so it's more effective than a typical stun gun. But yeah.
Cool. here in Michigan, you have to have a CPL to, your concealed carry license to get a taser. And so if you're going to carry a taser, it's, that's a whole nother discussion between those. So.
Yeah, I like tasers. Until recently, I didn't have any issue carrying one, but I did watch this taser documentary thing that's pretty interesting. But I don't know. I think they're expensive, but I do like them. I think they're an awesome tool. They're maybe not the perfect idea for defense for another human being, but out here we've got the potential for rabid dogs or anywhere, I guess, or just a stray dog or a pack of dogs. I live close enough to the desert where just wild dogs will get together until they get eaten by coyotes. They pack up and just be mean to people walking around. So for that kind of situation, or a mountain lion, or I don't know, javelina or something like that, you don't always want to. It's not even useful to shoot at it necessarily. You don't want that as your only option, in other words. So I really like a taser for that kind of thing, and then potentially for like a mugging or something, I guess it can be effective as well. But they're not perfect for sure. But I do like the tech and the idea that you can be standoff from the thing that you're zapping. My concern would be, especially with them at Oro, with walking around with the big Doberman, if some other dog decided to get in a big scrap with him, he would have gone at it. He wasn't going to run from a fight. So you can't pull a Doberman, a 90-pound Doberman off of anything. And if it's something equal size, then there's no way I'm going to try to rip them apart from each other. Where if I tasered them both, they'd fall down dead for a minute, and I could get my dog out of there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never even would have thought of that.
That was the reason I carried it most of the time. And then I could figure if the circumstances were right, then maybe I could use it for something else also. But for something like that, you're not going to shoot a dog off of your other dog, off of your dog.
Yeah. Now, was that shaped like a pistol, or is that?
They look something like from Star Trek. They could look like some kind of weird sour massager or something. They don't look like anything. They just sort of look like a weird shape. But yeah, it's in the vague shape of a pistol, or like a weird TV remote, or like what they mostly looked like was the little thing that would hang off like the lift. Like you'd have some sort of a chain lift in your garage to lift your motor out of your car or something, and there'd be like that remote control hanging off of it. They kind of look like that more than anything. And then they have like a cartridge that fits in the front that's a little bit bigger than a box of stick matches, and that's the coiled wires and a little bit of air, I guess, that shot them out. Or maybe it was a chemical reaction that shot them out. And then these two little fish hooks, basically, they're literally made by whatever Eagle something fish hook maker. They're just straight fish hooks, come out with that little thin wire, and then the rest of it's battery, basically. Well, actually, no. The battery was another thing about the size of the cartridge that was on the butt end of the thing. And there's nothing to it. It's just a weird Star Trek looking shape, kind of smooth, and you get it whatever color. But then there's one button. You pull back the little cover that covers the button, and then as soon as you pull back the cover, the laser and light both turn on. So there's a laser and a little LED light that's pretty bright. Those engage as soon as you open the cover, and then there's only one button, and you push that button and it goes off. Now you could pull the cartridge out the front with the wires on it. Not pull the button, push the button, just take the cartridge out the front, because you can take it out off and on, it just kind of clips in there. And if you took the cartridge out and opened the thing and pushed the button, it would be like a stun gun. A little lightning would zap across the little probes, and you could just touch somebody with it and they drop.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I don't know what those guys are talking about in the comments out there now.
I'm not real sure either.
Those that shoot two wires inaccurate and don't work on someone amped anyway. Well, I don't agree with that. They'll work on any mammal, and that's why they're effective. Is they work on your what do you call system, your nervous system. They drop you, so you can watch videos, and I don't think I've seen critters go down, but you can see video of them like going up to a bull or something, some critter at a zoo or at a ranch or something, and they're just, this bull gets up and they drop it, and it's just, you know, the bull just drops. It's like if it, I don't know, just stopped standing up, it just dropped, and then they'd get up all groggy, and then they'd push the button again, and it would drop. Like they make them for gorillas and elephants. It's like one of the things, one of their products is for zoos. It's like if an elephant goes nuts, they got this giant, it looks like a claymore, big claymore looking taser that'll drop an elephant, drop a gorilla, drop a lion or something. So they work on mammals, and they'll work on pretty much everybody. You can kill somebody though, so that's the problem with it. It will kill you. And if you're all shot up or whatever, that, you know, doesn't help nothing. The reloads are like $26 a piece or something like that. I think $25. It's hard to remember. I was getting everything back in the day through the shop, so I would get it at a good price. But it was something. It wasn't. I mean, you weren't going to just shoot off a taser for no reason. It was a couple of bucks, but it was. I would shoot them maybe twice a year. I would just shoot it, especially since I carried it all the time. The doors on the front would get all crappy after a while, so I would either shoot it, or if somebody hadn't shot one before, I would let them shoot it and then put a new one in there. So they were expensive, but you know, it's a thing you're using to save lives. So I would kill them every once in a while, or shoot them off every once in a while. Yeah, C4 is saying about $25, something like that.
And on a side note, I heard that in Maryland, of all places, they actually allow the tasers to be carried. One of the gentlemen I speak with is from Maryland. So for the people like Kingpin, David Bowling there, that is an option since they have such, you know, bad restrictive gun laws. Because I believe the gentleman works in Baltimore, and that's one of those places that is really crazy about their laws or whatever. So
that's the other part about tasers. You would think, oh, it's not a gun, so anywhere, but no, it's weird. And some states that are pro-gun are anti-taser even, so, or at least last time I looked. Bash is saying he's been tased by both types. I think he means the taser, which is specific tech, and then the regular stun gun. The regular stun guns are a pain compliance thing. So yeah, they're just zapping you with painful electricity zapping through a muscle. Whereas the taser, the concept is that it makes all your muscles wiggle. So in effect, you're like running really fast for a sprint, you know, except it's happening electronically, and then you're just exhausted at the end. So that's why it's supposed to be more useful. Yeah, there's an interesting documentary on it, and I'm not saying they're all that great. They're up in Phoenix, Scottsdale, so they're an interesting company. But I still think it's a useful tool. It's just not ideal or perfect or anything. All right, so on the gun channel side, they're just asking if the cane guns would be an AOW, and I believe it would be, since it doesn't look like a gun, and the old ones at least didn't really have a pistol grip and a trigger. They were more like a pen gun, I think. They just had a trigger. And to be a non-AOW, it would have to have the characteristics of a firearm, a pistol grip, and a trigger. What about a sword?
I actually had an uncle that had one of those in his closet, and it was always a conversation piece that he pulled it out, and it was a sword. It was an old time one too. I don't know where it went though. But that's why I was saying with the long cane, you know, I mean, even my rigid cane that doesn't collapse is fiberglass. You know, it's like, oh, that it breaks, and it will break. You know, you shut it in a car door, it'll break, but you know, it'll also break upside somebody's body too. And if I was going to use it defensively, I would definitely use the hand, you know, the grip portion versus the thinner end.
I don't know if it's going off topic or if you can even answer this one, but is there discussion amongst the community when it comes to defense? Like, is that a thing that is talked about, or is that like impolite? And then, if so, my real question was going to be, what's the impression on knives? I know in the gun community, people seem to think like, well, I'm going to carry a gun and my knife because then I can do all these like Robin Hood moves with my knife, and then blah blah blah. Like I'm going to defend myself from the rapist with this knife move. So, is that a perception you think in the sighted issue community?
Yes, actually, the group I speak about, that there's a group of us that talk, and that's the defense portion and the legal side, because there's a lot of legal questions, being visually impaired, but the stun gun, the pepper spray, and then obviously a knife. I carry a knife, but knife fight is, I did knife fight training in the Marines and that kind of stuff, but if it gets to that point, I don't know. So there is conversations about it, and you wouldn't believe on how much, so yes, we do have discussions. There are, banter back and forth as far as what, everything from calibers to carrying a knife, and then should you carry, your secondary items like your spray, your pepper sprays, that kind of thing. And, is it good to carry that? Because if you go to something, more extreme like the pistol, are they going to, get you in trouble because you're still carrying, pepper spray and you didn't use that first? And so there's a lot of talk. Now, as far as community wide, as far as, most of the blind people out there, I know most of them don't speak about firearms. And as far as knives, I'm not sure. There's the place I directed you, G, to go to for the movies and stuff. That Blind Mice Mall is the main site. There's a lot of different stores in there, and they deal with medical stuff and health and hippie stuff, whatever. But they also have a safety store that I get ads for, and they do the stun guns and pepper sprays and different things. But it's national, so there are some states that have no restrictions on what you can use and stuff. And so I know that a lot of people are aware of self-defense, and there's a lot of the more judo, and there's karate and all the other martial arts that a lot of people do. Now I don't know numbers wise. I mean, I only know the people I talk with, and I know the group that I talk with as far as firearms and stuff isn't huge, but so I do know that there's a huge portion that they don't do anything, and they don't do anything proactive. I believe. It's just like anybody else. There's a lot of people out there that last thing on their mind is self-defense and being aware of anything that's going on. So I can't say that it's a majority, but there are a lot of people, because there's people that do judo and crab rangoon or magaw, whatever that is. Yeah, a lot of different things. So there's a lot of different types of stuff. But
Well, I'm wondering, as you're saying that, because obviously you can't know every person, that's ridiculous. But like you say, you can get a feel or whatever from the people you do know, or the people that you've had, and you've been around or whatever, the places that you've been. Like you say, just knowing that there's a store there is what is part of it, right?
yeah.
So if it wasn't a concern, there wouldn't be a store, right? But if it was a major concern, there might be 4 stores, right, or 4 different layers of stores or something. So I just did a quick search on the internet, and it says that there's 1 million Americans that are legally blind. I don't know if that's from 2015. I can't imagine it's too different. So I'm trying to think if there's 300 something million gun own or people, 360 million people in the country, and something like 10% of them are gun owners. And that doesn't mean much, because who knows what the actual number is of people that would be aware of their own personal self-protection or the responsibility of protecting themselves. But if you're dealing with only 1 million people, and it sounds like at least it's in discussion and stuff, I suspect it might be a higher percentage of that population that's at least aware of it. And I think to some extent you got to be more potential victim, right? You got muggers and assholes that are gonna see as a target, right?
Yes,
and cities and shit.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of people that, well, I can't say a lot, but I know, a number of people that, they lived in the small towns and they've relocated to, a bigger city. There's a training center in Michigan over in Kalamazoo, and there's a large community because of Westerns over there, the colleges and stuff like that, that people move to that area because there's, the automated crossing guards. You push the button and it'll make a tone, when it's safe or whatever. So there's a lot of different things. They've got, the transit and the buses and all that kind of stuff. And so I know, taking formal classes, some of the places, I mean, they must talk about it, because obviously even just walking down the street, you have to be aware of so many things, just to be safe, just walking down the sidewalk and getting to an intersection and crossing and stuff. There's a process of how you do that. And I don't know. There's a lot of people out there that are oblivious, and they just, do what they have to do, to get by, and so, I would like to believe that there's a lot of people out there and they're all, self-aware and aware of everything that's going on around them. And it depends too on their limits of vision, because legally blind, you can still drive in some cases, so there's a wide variety of ranges as far as the people and stuff. So, but you would think that, with classes, going to colleges, because obviously you have to, you're not just going to jump out and do a lot of manual labor or whatever. I mean, you can. There's guys that, do paint and do everything. So, I don't know, it's kind of hard to talk about like a whole community, because, I mean, I know the people I know and the people I've met, out of all the people I met at the training centers and, through seminars and things like that, I would say that the vast majority wouldn't pay attention to that. They might, think about it and, carry a light or, do things to obviously protect themselves and lock their doors and that kind of stuff. And home security alarms and the little alarms that go off if you feel threatened or whatever. But as far as, actually making an effort to train and to do all those extra things just to be able to, protect yourself and, your family or whatever, I don't see it as a huge number. But that's why I'm here, so I can talk about it. So if you meet somebody and say, "Hey, what are you talking about? You can do this yourself." I mean, I know a crazy guy and he does it.
No, you're not the only one, so that's cool. So I threw some more links out there. See some people turning green. Sarge got a link. I don't know. Some people don't always jump over to gun channels, but I had a big day. I've been did the 2A workshop for a bit, ran it for a while, and then went on and started editing a video. Sent out a bunch of stuff to Patreon supporters, and was editing the video to kind of show what the process is on that Adobe Premiere software. That's pretty cool. And then Armentia jumped in for a bit and was asking about logos. So we talked about branding, logos, and kind of at least what I would do with somebody who's starting from scratch with the logo. And then Artisan Tony jumped in and we chatted for a bit. And then Ghost had his chat. It was a pretty awesome chat. And now we're doing this one. So I'm about talked out. Looks like Potatoes is over there green, so I'm guessing he might be doing something on gun channels. I guess I'll go look. Yep, sure enough, he has a chat going. So if anybody's interested in continuing the conversation, head over to gunchannels.com. Community we built 6 years ago now, or going on 6 years, to have a place to talk about guns.
Do we have a gun shop?
I don't have one in the list right now, but we can certainly talk about one. I'm just reading something Ben just posted over here. Can we all take a moment, sit down, and be honest with ourselves and just admit collectively that law enforcement are not on our side? Question mark. The stream Yankee did last Thursday is more than enough to prove this, or more than enough proof of this. It's time to start being honest instead of being complacent and denial all the time. I don't know, something's going on with Yankee. I posted, like, I did a bunch of videos in December, I think, like before holidays, or I don't know. You know, I try to do videos of the series sometimes, and whatever about Yankee on Patreon, right? So I posted that, or I made it in December, posted it a long time ago. It went live today or yesterday or something, and oh man, all kinds of creepy comments on it. So Yankee did something to piss a whole bunch of people off. Something about cops, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, gun shop, got one.
I've got Bullocks. Guns, knives, and safes.
The one you've done before?
Yeah, that's the only other one besides Williams, but that was the last one, that enormous one that we did.
Well, since we're talking about Yankee, I'm going to do sporting systems tonight then. So each day we do try to talk about a gun shop. That's one of the reasons we call it the Daily Gun Show, so that we can promote a new gun shop every day. And every once in a while we double up. And instead of doubling up on Patriots, we're going to double up on sporting systems. It's a shop. I don't know where it is. It's in Washington State somewhere near where Yankee used to live. But pretty cool gun shop. Just they have an interesting Instagram account. They're active as far as, you know, in the gun community, but lately with the craziness that's been going on with anti-gun laws in Washington State, they've been beyond active. They've been inspirational, I think, and showing what gun shops are all about, putting their money where their mouth is, their time where their values are, and doing the work that needs to be done. So it's one of the reasons we talk about gun shops, is because they're important. They are our water coolers. So there are places where we can gather, not just to get our kit, but in, you know, communicate and stuff. So it's nice that we have the internet, but some of us that have been around since before the internet can remember going to gun shops to get the vital information that was available, and you know, they still fill that role. And in times that we're under political persecution or risk or whatever, you know, they can provide roles, like in California with the petitions and everything, and like sporting systems, publishing, you know, printing stuff, making yard signs, delivering the yard signs, taking time to go out and post the yard signs, replace yard signs after they're knocked down by antis, and, you know, getting valid resistance to the Bloomberg paid for messages that are out there. So it's called Sporting Systems. They're active on Instagram. That's where I follow them. They're probably active on the other platforms. They seem pretty savvy. I think they're an inspiration as far as just a gun shop being active in lots of ways. So if you know a gun shop and you got their ear and they're frustrated about anything, I think Sporting Systems would be a valid one to have them check out and see some of their techniques, some of the things that they do, and see if something might work for any other shop out there. Let's see. Anyone know of an alarm that will work with the power shut off? What kind of alarm? Like a clock?
An alarm system, he clarified in the next statement. I'm sure they do have some with a battery backup.
All of them. I can't imagine any that would allow the criminal to just turn off your power and have run of your place. Mine has battery backup and cellular backup. It has its own cell phone, basically.
Yeah, because they've got the
Okay.
kind you don't even have to pay for a service now. You just buy the equipment.
Yeah, I like being connected to a service just because whenever you're not home, you've got an extra eyeball. For the little stuff like in Arizona, you wouldn't think, but flooding is a major issue more than anything else. Pipe will break or something like that, and they'll monitor things like that. And then smoke. So if you got a fire or something that happens, a battery or a motor goes out, or something glitches, power cord catches fire, you've got that kind of stuff. So I like having the service for the monitor stuff. That could be a show. We haven't talked about alarms in a long time. We could chat about that at some point.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
But yeah, like Vash said, most of them have at least 24 hours. I think mine was quite a bit more than that. Because they're designed in case you have a blackout situation. You got people running around days after the situation. I guess. I don't know. Or maybe if you're out of town, somebody figures they can knock the thing out, wait for your battery to go bad.
Now they have like battery backups for computers and stuff. Do they still do that? It's been years since I looked at them.
Oh yeah,
Like those
so
towers.
UPS.
Yeah, UPSs, they're called uninterruptible backup power supplies. I would highly recommend them. If you don't already use one, you can get them for very inexpensive, $20 to $50. That'll provide a gang of outlets, so it's useful because it turns one plug into many, but it'll stop it from surges and crazy electricity. You know how those electricity producers are. They don't care what kind of wattages and fluctuations of power go out. But they're in it with the Westinghouse. They want to make you buy new radios and appliances all the time. But but no, seriously, like lightning and all that kind of shit. Having a UPS is awesome. And then if you're in the middle of doing something, you're editing a video or something, and then it's stormy and you don't realize it, and boom, all your power's out. And if you're 7.5 hours into rendering an 8-hour thing, it's certainly nice to have a UPS to just boom, you're right back there. Your laptop never went out. But yeah, they're just big bricks. They look like big giant power supply or big giant what do you call those things? Octopuses or whatever they're called. The power strips. They look like big giant fat power strips because they just have a bunch of extra batteries in them.
They're not near as big as they used to be. They're making them smaller now.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what kind of batteries, how much power you get. I get the big server ones. You get them online, and they're way cheaper than paying for them in a store. And overkill, I guess, but because they're cheap. And then maybe every 3 years you got to get a new one. Kind of depends on how much you run your stuff. The batteries will go dead, and sometimes it's easier to just buy a new one. It's like printers. Sometimes it's easier to buy a new one than to replace batteries.
Right.
Not always, though. Not always. Sometimes you check your alarm system places in town, fire supply, that kind of thing, and see if they've got the batteries for them. Sometimes you can get them cheap from a place that has them wholesale. A lot of times the alarm places don't want people to think about batteries, so they'll buy them in bulk and offer them pretty cheap because they don't want you to not have your systems running because of batteries or because you want to save a buck on battery or something.
Yeah, it's a good deal.
Yeah, I think that would be a good show to have sometime.
Yeah, topic we haven't covered often.
And C4 bought a new gimbal tonight. I thought you bought a new gimbal the other day. Or you bought another one. How many gimbals is this guy going to have? He run around like with a motorcycle with the gimbal on each side and his camera's in the middle. Like I want to be able to wiggle both hands. All right. Well, I guess with that, we'll say thanks everybody for watching and listening. The Tater Tubes is up and running over on the gun channels, and we'll see. Oh wait, Gary, what do you got? Anything coming up? Got Friday show already in the bag?
Yeah, I got Friday show already scheduled out for Friday 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 Central. Foul territory. Love to see everybody there.
Preacher, you got anything going on?
Just a project I'm going to be starting. So hopefully I'll throw out a video and catch me on Rick's Shooting with Disabilities tomorrow at 7.
Oh, right on. I forgot to talk about tomorrow's show. So we got Rick, and then you got Matt doing his political chat, I guess.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on Wednesdays that I'm missing?
No, just Rick, Matt, and you.
Yep, we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks everybody for watching.